Hi, everyone. What happened to my... I had a pocket of something. Hi, Mila. Hi. I was sitting on it. How is everyone? Welcome and thank you for coming to my channel. My name is Whimsy. My name is Dr. Whimsy, if you want to call me Dr. Whimsy. My name is Whims, if you are a friend, and I count most people as friends. Other people call me Dr. Whims. That works too. Let us get comfortable, shall we? It looks like we have a lot of people here for Hot Topics. Oh. We've got remotes. So, Mila, what are you doing? I hear someone doing something they probably shouldn't be doing. Is somebody attempting to break into could it be the catnip bag? Is that what I hear? That would never happen. Could we possibly have a catnip napper? Michaela Antoinette Claudette, if you come over here, I will give you freshly grown catnip, but only if you come over here and show your utmost respect to me as your master. That didn't work. Does this look familiar, Mila? Mila, what's this? Do you know what this is? What's this? Where did it go? What's that, Mila? What's that? Did mommy grow some catnip for you? Well, how is, excuse me, everyone? Let us give gratitude. Sweetie, where did your catnip go? I nabbed some nip for you. Is it out there? No, it's not here, sweetie. You're going to have to go find it. Must be so frustrating to be a cat. Hi, Judy Jamerson. Thank you for subscribing and showing up today. Hi, Maura. Hi, Twitterbug. Those are some pretty hearts. Thank you. Cardomancy Mesquite is in the house, and I believe she's becoming certified to teach heart-centered remote viewing, if I am not mistaken. So that's pretty excited. Hi, Miss Brazil. Good to see you. Thank you for subscribing. Hi, Chris Crowdis. So, I feel I should play the world's smallest violin every time one of my students graduates and receives teaching certification. The heavens open up, and I take out the tiniest little wings, and I place them in all of our teaching graduates, and I release them. And then, of course, they say, Dr. Whimsy, those wings, they're too small. I can't fly. Like, it's more ceremonial than, practical. Anyway, so I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we have another person graduating as a teacher soon. Congrats, congrats, congrats. Joanna Burgess, hello. Thank you for being a member. Melinda Dutra, thank you for being a member. John Weber, hello. Thank you for being a member. Jane the Secret Tarot, hello. Yes, so Holly W. She wants to talk about the fact that people were giving tours. Do you remember when I was feeling goofy? I was imbibing something. I did an evening remote view and I got a little goofy because when I do transcendental meditation and I also do HCRV at night. Neela, can you come here, please? Anyway, I was meditating on Congress and the fact that I'm sorry, I'm coughing. So I was concentrating on that and I heard the song, "It's getting hot in here, so let's take up all your clothes." That was what was that, February 17th, 16th? We can check the date. Was it later than that, March? What can you do? But then I had a remote where I was shown that would be 5 members of Congress would be indicted. So 5 have been subpoenaed, and that information's been sent on to the Justice Department. And so how was your morning? Dun-dun. Crazy, crazy, cray, cray. We do not see the future in HCRV. What we do is we follow the energy. So if I punch you, there might be a reaction. So what I did was I followed the energy, and it was hot around 5 people who were under investigation. And when I saw the energy over it, that's why I started singing, "It's getting hot in here. Let's take off all your clothes." And then, being a good remote viewer, just as you are if you're a student of mine, you document, you date, and you record if you can, even though your hair is a mess and people insult you and tell you look terrible. It's 2 a.m. Sometimes you've just had a lucid dream. You start doing lucid dream HCRV, right? Just record. Yeah, so it was hot in here because 5 people were under criminal investigation. And it's been sent to the Justice Department. So, that in and of itself. Are they going to go gently into the night? Or are they going to, try and do another revolution? In which case you might have sleeper cells or lone terrorists doing crazy things like what happened in New York. This concern that people could go rogue, breaking around, people starting to do whatever they like. Okay, so in terms of what Holly said, giving the tours, I think that's basically what the remotes have said, is that they're facing indictments. I had a question that Mark Rhodes asked me about, and I did do a remote view for Mark Rhodes. Thank you, Elizabeth, for the donation. Thank you, Elizabeth Fuller, for the $20 donation. Good to see you here, Elizabeth. There was a question by Mark, and I wanted to address it. Okay, he said, could you, he wants us to address Will and Jada Smith. Are they getting a divorce? I have a statement from Jada. Okay, who here would like to hear a remote view? I did a remote view. For those people who are new to the channel, I'm a professional empath. We teach a technique here. This is also a channel where we have fun. It's just for entertainment, but we do teach HCRV here, heart-centered remote viewing. So we teach people how to sit in the shoes of another person. Would everybody like to hear Jada Pinkett Smith's statement? because she had a bit of a statement for me and you. Thanks for the question, Mark, because Mark had sent the questions in, and then last night I did an extended remote, and I was lying in bed, and Jada Pinkett Smith came through very clearly. Do you guys want to hear what Jada Pinkett Smith had to say? Where'd my pen go? I think Mila might have eaten a pin. I'll blame her. No, I think I put it down somewhere. So here is what Jada Pinkett Smith said. She said, "Do not blame me." So Jada Pinkett Smith, this is like the official statement that she gives to me, the remote viewer. She said, "Do not blame me." She said, in my household, in my husband's, in our household, how they are in the Pinkett Smith household is that they have raised their children to take 100% responsibility for their actions. This is what Jada Pinkett Smith is saying. They raised their children with, certain values and certain groups. Certain values and certain standards about how people are supposed to behave. And one of the things that they raise their children with is this idea that, how do you feel about your actions? Do you feel that your actions were warranted? Are you comfortable with your actions? Because ultimately, at the end of the day, you have to take 100% responsibility for your actions. And so what Jada Pinkett Smith is saying in the remote is that this is how we raised our children. So she does not appreciate the sexist catcalling where she's being drug out and being blamed for her husband's behavior, or they're slicing and editing things in videos, etc., to make it out like she somehow is manipulating her husband or causing him to behave the way that he behaves. This idea that men are simply at the mercy of women and their actions are being controlled. She said, those are not the values that my husband and I raise our children with. So she said, it's not going to fly. You're not going to blame me, Will, for your decision to do what you decided to do. That is on you. You decided to get up off your chair and to do something crazy in the middle of the Academy Awards. I don't know if you had a brain freeze or what was going on. So she's not going to take the blame for it. She said, we are all responsible for our own actions. So this is a time for Will to reflect. We've talked about this, where he has to go and reflect on his actions and how he feels about his actions. But they are not teaching the children that in any way it has anything to do with something that Jada did, and they want to nip it in the bud, this whole thing where she's somehow being blamed for his problems, whether they're mental health problems or anything else. So how it stands now, based on this type of energy, it is very likely that Jada Smith will file divorce proceedings against her husband, because not only did because he has to take responsibility for his actions, but the way in which it was twisted as if she somehow is responsible for his actions. So for those reasons, and then she said something else in the remote. She said that there's nothing left to save. There's this feeling between her and Will that there really is, after this there's nothing to save. There's no marriage to save. That's the bottom line. That's her statement. Hi, Jody Rogers. Thank you for being a member for 4 months. She wants to know how long we're going to be in the slow vibration time. Things stabilize by September. We've done some remote viewings on that. And we enter the time of the Knight of Pentacles, a grounding time around September, because we have all these adjustments happening with the market. Things were inflated, including stocks were inflated. But you have to realize unemployment is 3.5%. So even if it were to drop by 1.5%, it would still not be at 6%, which would 5.5%, 6%, which would still be considered pretty good. So I don't think we're going to see an unemployment problem in the fall. Things will slow down, but they need to slow down because it was insane. It was out of control. And we'll probably see another point and a half drop by January. Okay. Next question I had, and again, I just want to give a shout out to Mark Rhodes, PR person extraordinaire for these questions. He wants to know what happened at the balcony. Why are Prince Harry and Meghan and Andrew not at the balcony? Anybody know about this? Some major event where they will not be at the balcony. So I did a remote. Hi, Hugger Greeter TK. Good to see you. Hi, Mark Rhodes. All right. This was a very fun remote. And when I went into the remote, first off, I did some lucid dreaming and I wound up, you know how I have trouble getting into the White House? Like when I remote view, I'm having trouble getting into the White House. Here's the shocker. I have no trouble getting into Buckingham Palace. So I also have a story. I did astrally project into Buckingham Palace during a lucid dream. And I now realize why. It's because when I'm asleep, they're awake in London. So if you guys want an extra bonus round, I'm going to tell you what happened when I broke into Buckingham Palace a couple months ago in the remote view, in a lucid state, what I found. And I went around and I checked things. It was very fun. But let me tell you this first. So here's what happened when I went into the remote view of Prince Harry, Meghan, and Andrew are not allowed to be at the balcony. So I went into the balcony. I put myself in the shoes of the balcony. And as I put myself into the shoes of a balcony, a guy from MI6 who was up at a balcony across the way from the Queen's balcony went and grabbed me and said, hey, what's going on? Like, and I said I was trying to get to the balcony to see where the balcony. He says, please don't talk to me about the balcony. And I said, do you mind talking to me about the balcony? And the guy from MI6, the security guy, said, oh, bloody hell. Let me tell you about the balcony. So we have a conversation here with MI6. I want you to know from a security and logistics perspective, the balcony is a nightmare. It is a security risk nightmare. If we could completely scrap the whole thing altogether, the security team would be thrilled. You have to realize all the security risks that go into the balcony, creating the balcony. First off, you have all these royals in one location. So you've got the Queen, you've got Charles, you've got his son, you've got his son's son, you've got 4 generations of royals all at the balcony. So if there's a terrorist attack, you've got a bit of a problem, right? So he said the balcony security logistics for that reason have always been a nightmare. If we could scrap it all together, we would. The security team has had to deal with this because you understand that the people have come to expect it over time. Also understand that our security is much better now than it used to be, but there are still glitches, hiccups in the system. Take, for example, there was a break-in last week. Prince Harry has volunteered to step back from the balcony, and so has Andrew. They volunteered to step back because they understood that the balcony is a security risk. In plainer words, what MI6 is saying here in the remote is that he would be doing us a world of favor if he would not be on the balcony, because it's a security risk nightmare. And because he and his wife are targets, if the people that are targeting he and his wife know that they will not be at the balcony, it creates a lot less risk for everybody, because of all the places where they have the hardest time securing the safety of the royals, it's the balcony. So in this environment where death threats, and he's having to hire his own security, he offered, maybe we'll just step it out. And then the photographs of the family together, they're more than happy to take pictures together in a more secure location, like within the palace. Does that make sense for people? So that is why he offered. The second thing had to do with Andrew being controversial. And similarly, they're worried about snipers and attacks from people because Andrew is so hated right now. All right. Does that help answer the question from the perspective of the security for the event, why they, and that it was somewhat voluntary because of the security risk and the type of people that they get real threats. But there'll be some very nice pictures in the rose garden with the children. That's fine in a controlled environment, but not out there where anybody and everybody, if a sharpshooter or. Okay. Would everybody like to know what happened when I broke into Buckingham Palace in a remote? It's so awesome. All right, lucid dream. All right, Whimsy's lucid dream. Lucid dream, Buckingham Palace. Yeah, that's basically what the security guy said to me in the remote. It's what would happen if they were hit by something like some kind of mega hit from a launcher from a sniper? The entire royal family would be wiped out. So it's already a nightmare. Why add fuel to it? So that was the answer. Okay, so I had a dream. And in the dream, I found myself outside of Buckingham Palace. And in the dream, I woke up and said, oh, I'm dreaming. So at that point, when you realize you're dreaming, that's called a lucid dream. So in the dream, when I landed, I was in the garden. It was a huge area, actually, in Buckingham Palace, in the secure area of Buckingham Palace. But where I wound up was in the gardens of Buckingham Palace. And then when I got to the corner area, so here was the gardens. And then when I got to the corner area of the Buckingham Palace, I went up 2 flights, or I went up 2 stories to what looked like a balcony. It did look like a balcony area and a area where they were serving tea. They were serving high tea. It looked like it also doubled as a ballroom. So when I got in, you have the balcony area where everybody waves. And then when you go back from that area, there's some rooms that you could also have dancing and tea parties. And so one of those rooms is close to the side of what looked like the northwest corner, which is near where the garden is. So I entered through the second floor window on the northwest side by the gardens, if you guys want to look this up. And when I got in, guess what I found? Dun, da, da, da. So I'm in the dance hall area, And guess what I find in the dance hall area in this area? Oh, thank you, Jody. That's very kind of you. A bunch of women, females, dressed in nice dresses. They having tea. It was a tea party, and they had this area on the. I entered on the northwest side, so it would have been. Ooh, my goodness. It would have been on the northeast side, down the eastern side. They have this long train where there were cakes and teacups. Teacups. They weren't sitting for the tea. They were standing and talking, and they were graduating from high school, from what appeared to be some Ivy League high school, and they had been allowed to have their tea, their graduation tea, at Buckingham Palace. And so I was there as a spirit. And so I was able to see the party and the girls taking their tea and photographs. The Queen did not attend. So the Queen offered the location because historically this particular school, it must have been some Ivy League school for women that somehow was associated with the Queen, had their tea parties there in the past. And perhaps when she was younger, the Queen might have attended, but the Queen did not attend the tea party. But I was still able to float around and see the women in the graduating class in their pretty dresses, taking pictures and having tea at Buckingham on the second floor, entering through the northwest side of Buckingham by the flowers. And it was very cool. And it was so weird. It was so vivid. There was one point in the remote where I thought, they're going to see me. They're going to see me. And I went all the way back past where the party was to where the catering people were working. Nobody saw me, and I just left. But anyway, so that was my lucid dream of Buckingham Palace and how it's set up and who I bumped into. Isn't that cool? So I did make it in. That's like the third or fourth time I've managed to get into Buckingham Palace, and I've also managed to go up the back stairs. The servants' quarters stairs that lead to the Queen's private apartment. I've gone up there, and I know she has a front entrance and she has a back servants' entrance. I've been through both of them. So for whatever reason, I can get in. But can't get into the White House. I don't know what that's about. Isn't that great? All right, I think that's all the remotes I have. Is that everything I have for remotes for Hot Topics? Why do I feel like there's more? Oh, yeah, the last thing I wanted to say had to do with the wildfire. Remember, I had said keep your eyes on the northwest. Came out today that there's a top fire out of control on the northwest side. Remember, I had said I felt the fire coming in from the northwest side to the east. They were trying to secure the east. So the winds, again, they said the fire is coming in from the northwest. So the winds, unfortunately, are pushing towards the east, southeast. And so that area is still vulnerable in New Mexico, Texas. So I think that's 340 homes destroyed in San Miguel as well. So that's that. No, it was Buckingham Palace, and she was not at Buckingham Palace. They just allowed them to use the room. Some fancy girls' school got to have the experience. It's kind of like a museum when you think of Buckingham Palace. I guess it is parts of it. So to have the honor of having a catered event there must be really cool. Okay, so I think that what we should do is the Impasse prayer, and then how about we do some blitzes? Does that work for everyone? Thank you, Jody Rogers. Thank you for the donation. Very kind of you. Yeah? Blitz away? Should we blitz away? What do you think? Yeah, she's only at Windsor. Well, it was still cool to see. It was still cool to see the Buckingham Palace, even if she wasn't there. And life still goes on. They still have events there. Okay, I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call it our spirit guides and good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together, collectively, we say, Amen. So there were some questions about people are frustrated because they go into Trump's energy and it's like everybody gets away with it. But yeah, it looked like Mark Meadows would be the fall guy. I know, frustration. It's going to be hard to get Trump convicted of anything because he's got so many enablers saying, protecting him. All right, let's see here. What do we got going on here? Oh, incumbent Connecticut Governor Ned Lamont is up against Bob Stefanowski, who is a Trumpster. Who will win? Oh, the guy in Pennsylvania, the Republican, he's not going to win governorship. You know what's going to cost him? Why the other guy's going to take the Trump supporters? I couldn't believe it when I did the remote last night on Pennsylvania. Marijuana, medical marijuana. The Trump guy wants to ban marijuana in Pennsylvania, and it's ultimately what's going to cost him the governorship. That's what the remote said last night. Take it up with Spirit. All right. I got to get these names again. How is Ned Lamont going to do in Connecticut? This is wild. This guy, Ned Lamont, I don't know what his spirit is. This guy raised like devout Catholic or something? I had the strangest HCRV when I went into his energy. Governor Ned Lamont of Connecticut has a lot of spiritual protection over him, like angelic protection, spiritual protection, truth, etc. It's almost like a spiritual war against Bob Stefanowski. I don't know these people, but look at this. You have the sword of truth, like a fight for truth and justice. The Queen of Swords is protecting the Democrat, Ned Lamont. So it's like he feels vulnerable, this guy who's trying to do good, the King of Cups, but he's got the Queen of Swords as his protector. That's almost like a spiritual sword of truth protecting him. And then he enters in with a kind of trepidation with the Fool into the race against the Knight of Swords, which is the bloody knight. That's bloodthirsty, violent. So you have this good person fighting the good fight, and he's going up against somebody really rather wretched, I'm sorry to say. At least that's how it looks in the cards. No, the other guy won't win. The guy who's going to win is Ned Lamont, because Bob Stefanowski's campaign falls apart into a state of confusion, violence, and his own supporters sabotage his campaign. That's how it ends. You can see here justice, truth, stability, a strong foundation with the campaign of Ned Lamont. You can see here, he's this vulnerable, nice guy coming as the King of Cups, but Knight of Rods, young, aggressive energy, ready to do the work. The Fool takes a leap of faith, but he's stable. Knight of Pentacles. Look what happens to his opposition. He spins out. Anger, violence in the Moon. Yeah. Weird. And they're not going to take Pennsylvania either. That guy never should have said no to medical marijuana. The first thing the Trumpsters did when they went into the White House was they all started smoking marijuana. It's very popular with them, so I can't imagine he would win. Okay. Crazy. Oh. Queen's Jubilee, they are not allowed on the balcony with the Queen. Yeah, it's a security risk, Mark. Yeah, thank you for the question. Okay, Ellen G, she writes, how can people that have remote viewed not remember a visit? Is it like they had a dream? Because our brains exist. We have a part of our brain that is our conscious brain. Like right now, I'm using my conscious brain to realize that I'm having this conversation with you. But not everything that's happening with my brain is conscious. There are things that are happening with my brain that are completely unconscious. For example, I'm receiving all tons of kinds of data right now about this room that I'm making an effort to cancel it out so that I can talk to you. So my brain is consolidating what I choose to have as conscious and what is not conscious. So conversations happen in the spirit realm, but it's not necessarily existing in a conscious state for the other person, because these are thought forms that exist in the astral body of the individual. They exist as wounds of trauma. This is actually the lecture that we had Tuesday. For anybody that was in class last Tuesday, we talked about armor and trauma and how you can just float around someone's aura and you can hear thought forms like, oh, I hate humanity. Sometimes it's really dangerous. We can create I do this too, by the way. I catch myself doing this stuff all the time, but we can develop rigid thought forms. And so it's actually quite easy for a remote viewer to brush across those thought forms and start to pick them up, particularly if they're deep-seated from profound trauma or from deep-seated wounds. And those thought forms can even inform the way we walk, the way we move. If we were heartbroken, we may, early in life, it may actually affect the way we guard ourselves because of these pools of pain. So if a remote viewer goes in and starts doing mirroring work and starts feeling as an empath these blocks, that's basically HCRV. It's basically how you connect with whatever's going on as you begin to mirror whatever they're going through. Okay, good question. Thank you for that, Ellen. So the abortion issue, John. So we've talked about this. This is a conversation that's come up a lot about what would happen to the Republican Party if they gave the pro-life people everything that they wanted. What would happen would be that the pro-lifers would stop voting because they got what they wanted. So if you want people to continue to fight for the Republican Party, you have to continue to throw the possibility that they're going to have their needs met. But if you give them what they want, you've basically, particularly if you do it before the midterms, then there would be no need to vote in the midterms. And so what you would actually do is you would fuel the Democrats and you would pacify the Republicans because, hey, they don't need to vote. They got what they wanted. So it's an incentive for the GOP not to pass Roe v. Wade in a bizarre, sick sort of way. But I'll do 4 cards on it, John. Josh Fetterman's going to win, and I think the deciding factor will be medical marijuana. Because the Trump supporter out of Pennsylvania for the governorship says he's going to stop medical marijuana and recreational in Pennsylvania. Okay. They don't want to pigeonhole themselves, John. It's like they're in a strong position in some respects, but here you have 9 of Swords tying themselves up. Again, talking about a position of power. They took money. They took money from churches. That is what they're talking about here. They actually made wealth. They got wealth by creating alliances with the churches. And the churches feel an expectation and the betrayal of the churches if you don't give us what we wanted because we backed your candidates. And that's the conflict here. The churches want them to give them something in exchange for bringing the fold, bringing the flock to the Republican Party. You better give us something. And what we want Roe v. Wade tossed. If they don't give them something, there's going to be a feeling of anger and betrayal by the churches. And so you can see here, that's pretty much what we see. We had strong position going in with the church, results in 5 of Pentacles, exile from the church. 5 of Pentacles. So the Republicans feel that their relationship with the church and the money and the support, which ultimately, if that collapses, that's everything. There won't be a Republican Party if they lose the support of the churches. And they pretty much bound themselves. Page of Rods, a new beginning. Magician and the Knight of Rods. That's an ethics issue, right? Knight of Rods is all about being humiliated, red. There's an aspect to the King of Rods, Yehuda, where he was red with shame, right? That's one of the reasons why the King of Rods is red. Over the issue of power. So they are shamed potentially, or they have to step up about some kind of a fault. What's here again, 9 of Pentacles, is they took the money, the wealth over the issue, and 3 of Wands waiting for their ship to come in. So the conflict here for them will be what the churches want versus being good strategists, because if they give the churches everything they want, it would basically obliterate the Republican Party. It would no longer need to exist, which is why you should never have a political party where a large percentage of the people are there because of one issue. That one issue goes away, like the Brexit Party, and voila, you no longer have a party. So that's why they have to sabotage it. And that's what it looks like. On some level, they're between a rock and a hard place, John. They have to, they've got to make the churches happy, but at the same time, they're terrified. They've got nothing else. Does that make sense? Good point that Melissa Miller is making. And I just want to put that up about the issue of taxing churches. And I think, and this goes both ways. I mean, like, I was part of a synagogue when I was a kid that was very liberal. It was very progressive liberal, Reform Jewish. So it was great because they raised me with some ethics that I still have to this day. But at the same time, I don't think it would have been appropriate I don't know if for them to be putting money towards the Democratic Party, or, it starts to get a little weird when you have that crossing of church and state. So it goes back to what Melissa's saying about taxing churches. At the very least, they should acknowledge that they're stumping for a particular candidate, because they basically are stumping for a particular candidate. So Well, the evangelical Christian churches, have been doing that. They've been basically telling people who to vote for. That's not, people are giving them money and they're taking the money and stumping for it's just not appropriate. Okay, Spirit Beyond the Stars had a question about the governor out of Oklahoma. Evidently, Stitt has created some pretty draconian laws about pro-choice, so abortion rights. So let's take a look. All right. Will the governor of Oklahoma be kicked out? The future of the governor of Oklahoma. Did he grow up in a farming community? Because this is a guy with some really, this is all he wants Oklahoma to become, this rich farming community. That's kind of his fantasy, the current governor. He has this farming energy. Oklahoma has historically been an agricultural community. It's been a farming community. And so he's all about wanting new money to come in regarding farming for Oklahoma. This is all about farming, new ingenuity for farming, Oklahoma, money, new beginnings, new partnerships, and new money. So yes, he could win re-election for Oklahoma because of his incentives about the economy could be attracting the vote. If, it's all about attracting private business to Oklahoma based on, he's a contractor in construction. Yeah, it's about money. Look, building money, but it's also about construction, agriculture. And then he loses some business. He loses some contracting business. Josh Shapiro is going to win. And John Fetterman. Oh, it's a farming community. Yeah, that's very rural. That's very agricultural, that type of imagery of Seven of Pentacles, harvesting. Forced birthers, is that what we're calling them now? I can't keep track. Well, every time they have draconian laws about abortion, more women of color die. So maybe they're just trying to kill people. I don't know. I shouldn't say that, but that's what, what if you have an ectopic pregnancy? What if you have preeclampsia? Hypertension that's causing you to go into all kinds of things can happen. Kidney failure. Stroke. Toxemia. Gestational diabetes. Autoimmune conditions. A lot of stuff where African American women are more at risk in pregnancy. And they're more likely to die when they are given medical care by a white physician. So, in the end, who benefits? It's pretty sick. Okay, so Jane the Seeker Tarot, she wants to know what's going to happen to the Republicans who didn't vote for the $28 million aid package for baby formula. It's pretty sick. Biden's numbers start to stabilize by September. The economy starts to stabilize by September. And this emergency relief that Biden is going to be doing is extremely popular. So I would say that it looks like the Republicans eat each other for breakfast because they start to tear themselves apart, particularly as January 6th escalates and goes back to what they've said about Mitch McConnell and what I've said about Mitch McConnell. It was all about the courts, and he wants to put a stop to this nightmare called Donald Trump in the Republican Party, or what I've called cutting the head off the beast, which means he has to be brave and come out up and really take on Trump. And he has fallen short even after January 6th. So this type of energy that's coming in, like the star over the baby formula, it was emergency decision by Biden. It's a very positive energy coming in. It hails the star and a new beginning for Biden's presidency. And then you also have the Six of Cups, which is like childhood and innocence. So in a way, this cruelty and let them die, this kind of brutality, which was part of the former administration, is going away. And instead, we're starting to see a president and a presidency functioning the way a presidency should in the case of an emergency. And the president of the United States is not going to sit back and let babies starve to death. So you have that star coming in for Biden, and then a new beginning for him for Wands. And then Six of Cups is a gift amongst children. There's an innocence there. And then Queen of Swords comes in, which is the victory of truth. So these kinds of decisions by the Republican Party have not helped them. Archangel Michael is with actually Joe Biden, falls on Joe Biden's presidency. Here, let me show you. Ace of Cups, new births, babies, weddings, Mazel Tov, the wedding cup. The Ace of Cups can be births. Imagine being a mother who, for whatever reason, your baby cannot breastfeed and you rely on formula. And so really good points. There's going to be a lot of babies born named Joseph, you can be sure, because of that. And then you have an Ace of Rods here, success, entrepreneurship, and Four of Wands. Again, very good decision by the president. And then over his action, Six of Cups, the action, the gift, right? Because Six of Cups would denote gift, which leads me to suspect that the president will probably be giving some of this stuff away. And then we have Archangel Michael, the protector. And then the final outcome for the issue and the presidency is his wish has been granted, justice restored. Three of Wands, the wish card. That's a good question, Jane, the seeker. That was a really good question. Really good question. Okay. Is everybody having fun? You would tell me if you weren't, right? You'd fess up and say, Wims, actually, it's just, we're not having fun. Thank you for your help today, Debbie Brady. Oh, yes, Joanne Carson. Merrick Garland brought in prosecutor Thomas Windham to help expedite the I told you that was going to happen because he was going too slow and it was driving me crazy just remote viewing it. It's like nothing could pass the Justice Department until it's like he wanted to be the waiter for the entire restaurant. It's like share with the rest of the wait staff. It's like you don't need to take, and then the person who and won't ask the rest of the waits. You ever been a waiter? And somebody is getting behind and the whole and you say, okay, let the other waiter help you, and the person refuses, and it just creates a disaster. You ever done that? So that's like Merrick Garland. It's like all these orders coming in. I'm gonna just, it has to be perfect. It's like, ask for help. You have to ask for help, Merrick Garland. You have to ask for help. And so that's how I felt going into it. So I'm so glad to hear, thank God, he's finally letting somebody help him. Somebody who knows what they're doing, because he would not let anything pass unless it was perfect. It was really bogging him down. So if you could like, subscribe, I would be forever grateful. And thank you if you've become a member. Gosh golly, I appreciate that. And thank you for the donations, they help. All right, so I have a question from Debbie Brady. She wants to know about Sweden and Finland becoming part of NATO. I think the answer is yes, but we can do 4 cards on it. Oh, thank you, Linda Kingsley. That's such a sweet thing to say. I love you guys too. Very kind. Sweden and Finland. So Russia is threatening to attack Finland and Sweden if they join. So it's a moment of confusion. They've already entered Finnish airspace, and you have a 501, a risk of fighting. A new beginning, and yes, they will be approved, because you can see the Ace of Cups coming in, which is the offer. This never would have happened if Putin had not been so aggressive. He created this. Yeah, here it is, 6 of Cups. There's the offer, the gift. Healing over the fighting. Boy, there's some people communicating with the West that are trying to stop Putin that are just horrified. Look at this, harvesting the money, new beginnings. Ace of Cups, Hanged Man. I think that, honestly, Russia can't afford to keep going to war with people, because they've already lost over 20% of their military. I mean, this is how much more can they continue to? They're not going to be able to keep hold of Mariupol, because they can't feed themselves, and they'll just keep blowing up the supply chain. And also the Ukrainians are going to go back in. That's what I think. Okay, so there was another question that I thought was really pretty good. Okay, Sandy S. had a question that I wanted to address. She was talking about the tensions being high in Buffalo, New York. This is what the concern has to do with those previous remotes that had to do with the possibility of sleeper cells or lone wolves that are listening to fake news and getting riled up, and then potentially engaging in these types of random attacks. It's actually my concern, as somebody who was doing remote views on that a while ago, is, to be honest with you, I thought it was going to be a lot worse than it's been so far. I thought that there were going to be a lot more lone wolves. There was going to be a lot more carnage. And that's certainly what the people fueling this wanted. So it's actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be. But let's take a look at these racial tensions. They hit the mosque here in Portland, and they also hit our synagogue, the one up the road where I bought mitzvah. So they're trying to start a race riot. It's organized. Criminals. I see criminals trying to steal, getting in trouble with the law, going to jail. I see people being arrested and facing the courts. Criminals, thieves, being rescued. The captives are freed. Captives. The courts coming in. Over the thieves, false teachings, addiction, drugs, alcohol addictions, following a cult, temptations, sex addiction, codependency. Rescue. Those who are rescued will build something new. Over the captives. They will be victorious. Community will come together in Buffalo. They'll build a memorial, and their community will be stronger than ever. The Ace of Swords. The survivors come to the captive. The courts. The truth will be revealed, and there will be justice. Torah. Wow, good question. Very good question. I think we're going to finish pretty soon. It's been over an hour. Is everybody having fun? And of course, you're going to share, like, and subscribe. And you're going to become a member. And you're going to join Patreon. No? And yeah. Hi, Fed Girl. Good to see you. Geocosmic Valentine. Woohoo! To you as well. Are we done? Did everybody have a good time? Oh, membership? I think it depends on which group you join. If it's fairies and angels, or if it's the healers and you want to take the healers course. Yeah. I think it's like $2.99 a month. Hi, Marie Henson. Hi, Pamela Doss. Good to see you. Thank you for all your help today, Debbie. Appreciate it. All right, fair spirits. Hi, J Cat Lady. I always love what she does there. Hi, Sandy Miller. Good to see you as well. Hi, Vivian. Hi, Craig. Craig's been here for a couple of years. Dr. Oz in Pennsylvania. No, I don't think he's going to make it. They did a remote on him. I think he loses. A lot of the Republicans lose. In a way, it was kind of good that all the crazy Trumpsters got the Republican nod because they're so extreme that it kind of is going to help the Democrats in a way. Terry, we did a remote view on January 6th a couple months ago, and over the Capitol, when I was doing the remote, said that 5 people would be indicted. And I'm assuming, based on what's happened recently, that the 5 subpoenas and the fact that the stuff's has been sent to the Justice Department, I'm assuming that those 5 subpoenas over that issue from Congress, I'm assuming that it's related to the remote view from accessing the information we were able to access a couple of months ago. Okay, we are done. Love and light to you all. If you're trying to get in for a reading, tarotwithwhimsy.com. If you need me just to shoot you a quick 5-minute video, you can go to Wizio. Thank you, Debbie. Oh, sweet of her to help. Australia, I think that they are going to lose their leader, and I think there's going to be a switch. I think they're going more liberal. I know you'll all be so sad to see Australia become another bloody liberal country. Oh, also women starting to take key roles going forward in Australia, both local and nationwide politically in Australia. Start seeing some strong female leadership, just like in New Zealand. That's my prediction for Australia. All right, love and light, everybody. I'll see you later. Be well.